Good evening. How are you? I'm down in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it's about 2.5 to 3 hours south of Northern Virginia. And I'm here because tomorrow I'm chairing a group that's discussing the use of solar power and how we migrate to that, and how we may or may not use farmland, and what objection, if any, will the fossil fools have about that. But I can't fail to comment on the agreement reached today in Delaware in the case in which Dominion has sued Fox News and various individuals for telling lies about their company to the great detriment of Dominion, seemingly in order to assist by these lies Trump and others who would challenge the elections as fraudulent when they were nothing of the sort. And they particularly zoomed in on the properties of the software that Dominion has, and the statements they made, all of them were false. And today, as a result of discussions held over the last several days between Dominion and Fox, they came up with a figure of $787 million to settle the case. And it appears at this point that there were few agreements past that dollar figure. Now, do I fault Dominion for choking at the courthouse door, having seen the jurors, 12 and 12 regular jurors and 12 alternates? To some extent I do, but it's a lot to ask a private company that has engineered this brilliant attack and brought Fox to its knees so that it would offer a dime in tribute for the accusation. But it also appears that the early demands of Dominion were that a settlement should include two things. One, an admission that they were publishing false statements. And secondly, an apology. And today we heard, after the quote settlement was in place, the $787 million, that we had neither an apology and we had a lukewarm reference to the judge deciding in the summary judgment motion that the statements that were accusatory of Dominion were entirely false, and that at trial Fox couldn't say otherwise. And they acknowledge that the judge said that, but they admit to nothing. And I heard no apology. Now, the chief executive officer and members of the team for Dominion were more forceful in their statement, but it does not appear, at least at this time, that there is an agreement that Fox will either admit to wrongdoing or apologize. Pretty harsh. And so this is, in a way, kind of Trump's path. They paid $787 million in hush money to prevent further statements about their misconduct with regard to Dominion. Well, how do I feel about that? Well, I feel this way. I feel they choked because I think they had the goods. And so I'm a little concerned about that. But I have to realize that this is a private company. And while we would hope we would have an accounting of Fox's misconduct by Dominion's conduct of the trial, well, maybe that's too much to hope for. And we have to acknowledge, as some have said, that the $787 million is somewhat of an accounting of misconduct by Fox, no matter how they handle it. Now, there are some people who say, hey, Fox, they'll learn from this. No, they won't. No, they won't. They can't. It's impossible for them. They are who they are. Their character is set. I don't believe character is always set, but in this case, it is. Their arrogance, their intimidation of voters with false statements and lies is even evident this evening because, as far as I can tell, not a single story on Fox has related to their loss by settlement in court. So what does that say about America? What it says is we brought Fox to heel, but we didn't get the admissions or the apology. So what do? We take our victories and we press on. We press on against all those people who are continuing to do the things that we know are in violation of all the values of a democracy. Free expression, but true. No intimidation. Always striving for the best and the most important when it comes to issues that matter publicly. And if our elections do not matter, and truth does not matter in our elections, then our democracy is critically at risk. This judgment today says stop the music, that there are very serious problems among some people who call themselves journalists who just lie to us. And shame on them for doing it, and on us, since they've done it so often, for entertaining a thing that they say ever on their, quote, news network, which is really about the kind of material that the Ministries of Truth in 1984 envisioned to control the population. So that's that. And last night when I appeared on Ari, maybe Ari can take credit for encouraging the settlement. Some talked about my good friend Hirshhorn said that perhaps I would appear in one of his shows in a hot tub. And my wife Holly, who's with me here because she's attending the thing that I'm doing tomorrow, she said, well, maybe you should get in a hot tub. So I haven't decided that yet. If I do, I'll post a picture if it passes scrutiny. So good evening. Nice talking to you. And I expect to be in Northern Virginia tomorrow, and so I'll probably talk to you then. Good evening. Bye-bye.